Are you nervous? My goal is to make you cry.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Physically? Like, are you going to hit me? Or
just mentally and emotionally.
Okay.
We're going to break you.
You're going to use mental warfare?
Hey, thanks for watching Let's Talk today. I'm here with Logan because I skipped this guy. He goes second. This is Kevin.
Yes.
Logan first, Kevin second. Okay, we'll roll that back. Hi, thanks again for watching Let's Talk. This is Dave. You knew that already because of the thing right here, but this is Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin Cover, our producer of all of our TV shows.
Especially the breakdown.
Pretty much everything that we've ever produced ever has been because of Kevin.
Yeah.
There was this one show, The Breakdown, that Logan and I were hosts of. You of course remember, but got canceled inexplicably.
They probably don't remember.
No, they remember because we've got, tens and tens of people wrote in.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
Or was that
10.
fabricated?
It was like,
was that fabricated,
it was
Kev?
maybe 10,
Tell
maybe
the truth.
5.
Tell the truth. He made it up. Of course he did. Okay. Well, that was kind. He was looking out for our self-esteem is really what he was doing because he knows that we're fragile men. But at any rate, here with Kevin. Men. Yeah, maybe I'm speaking for myself.
Well, no, I am.
I don't want to put that on you.
It's fine.
I'll stop touching you. This is Logan Chambers, pastor extraordinaire. We're here hosting this episode of Let's Talk because the topic today is what to do when people leave. So this is for two different audiences. This is for people who are seeing somebody leave, who have a loved one that is moving away or a friend that's moving away, coworker. And it's also for people who are about to leave an area or a job or whatever it is. So we all have some sort of experience in this department. That's why we're in front of you today being foolish and having a great time. But we are going to get serious. We're going to talk about what to do and how to cope. So I'll start off by just opening up with my experience on both sides of the equation. So I was living in a place called Northern Maine, Presque Isle, Maine. And that's way, way up by northern Maine and near Canada, like 15 minutes away from Canada.
So you live in Canada?
Basically Canada. Okay. At one point in time, it was Canada, and at some point, even Canada was like, you guys just want this? And Maine was like, I guess so. So that was how it all happened. I lived up there and was part of an awesome church as the youth pastor at a place called Presque Isle Wesleyan Church. Don't try to Google it because it's spelled Presque Isle, okay? You're never going to find it.
That sounds terrible.
Say that again.
I can't. It was the one and done. Don't make me do it again. I'll mess it up. But at any rate, it was a place that was really sparsely populated. Not a lot of people live up there, and there's a lot of transition. And mostly from the medical community, doctors would come up and be there for a couple of years and then move away. And unfortunately, just because of economics and the cold, that place is actually shrinking faster than it's growing. So it's kind of sad. You got a lot of people moving away or passing away, and the birth rate and move-in rate isn't keeping up with that. So we were accustomed to seeing people move away, people that we love dearly who got jobs elsewhere, people who we got to know in the community that just wanted to move to a different place or see a new area of the country, tons of reasons. But one thing that was constant was we always felt like we were the ones seeing people that we loved leave. It was super hard. And I don't really have a ton of practical stuff to give you from this perspective just here and now, but I want you to know that every time someone left, I felt like I made a promise to myself, and maybe you've made this promise that I'm going to keep in touch with you, bro,
all the time.
Or sis, like we're going to talk and it's going to be great, and I promise when I go on vacation, it's going to be to visit you. And made all these crazy promises. I'll be on Facebook all the time, and we'll Snapchat, Insta, all the things. And then for some reason that never happens.
After a week, it's gone.
Never. Yeah. So I'm sure you watching, you'd never happened to you or anything. How about you guys?
No, I moved away from here and went to college at Liberty, and I met some of I still call them my best friends to this day. They're all the groomsmen in my wedding, and I think the closest one to me is still in Lynchburg, which is 4 hours away. One of them's in Canada, somewhere in Pittsburgh, and it's just like that. When I was leaving college to move back home to start working here, I knew that it was going to be different. But you have all of these tools right? That it's like, it's not going to be that different. It's going to be different,
Totally easy.
but like, we're going to talk all the time.
Yeah.
We're going to do all these things. I want to be a part of your life because the relationships I have with them were so real. And that just doesn't happen. You know, I get Facebook comments on some things when I post pictures or do things like that from them, and we talk from time to time. I remember I called them when we found out we were pregnant with Waylon, and some of them didn't have my number anymore. And it was just like, man, like I've only been out of your life for like 4 years at this point, and like we were so close. So there's like, it hurts a little bit, and they didn't mean that unintentionally. People get new cell phones, right? And so it's just crazy how like that phase of my life, those relationships were so important to me, and so important in these really transitional years of like college and learning and all those things. And it's like you have all these hopes of like, we're gonna be friends for life, and they still are my friends. It's just completely different.
So I can totally relate to that. I think what you were saying about college is something that so many people refer back to all the time, like college as like the best years of their life. So I'm going to flip it now, right? That we just talked about when you're seeing people leave, right? And now we're going to talk about when you're the one leaving. So I can talk to this too. So I was a part of that same community. I'm going to go back to Presque Isle, seeing people leave year after year, tons of people. Seems like all these people that I love are going away. And then I was that guy. Suddenly now I'm the guy that I know that people are going to promise to stay in touch with, and like never gonna not know what's going on in your life. We're going to get together. We're going to see each other. I knew people were going to make those promises, and indeed they did. And I reciprocated those promises. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. We're going to be up a ton. You know, we're never going to be back. I mean, we're going to be back a ton, and we're going to see each other, and it's never going to be like I left. And then the realities set in after 6 months to a year, where I realized that no, that community, as much as I loved all of those folks, I'm not able to keep in touch with them like I used to. And those relational ties begin to slip away. And that was the first time that I really processed it at that level, because I was there for 7 years. When I left my hometown to move, to go to college, I knew I was coming back to the hometown. And then when I left my hometown to go and work up in northern Maine, I knew that I was only 5 hours away, and most of those people that I was connected with were church folks who knew I was going off to do something. And they were like, yeah, go. And I knew I was going to be able to stay in touch. But this was different. I was about to move 9 hours. Actually, no, 14 hours. 14 hours.
It's a big difference.
Away. It is 14. Big. Well, 9 from my hometown, which was 5 hours away from where I was at, which is 14 hours from where I am now, which is Maryland. So it was a long... You do the math later. We'll put a little thing up on the screen maybe. I don't know.
Probably
but
not.
Work it out. I'm sure everybody's really concerned about how many years in miles and hours. But at any rate, that changed everything. And it dawned on me that like the big principle is that proximity does matter. Proximity matters. Even with all the tools that we have in place. We have Facebook, which... we can spy on our friends as often as we want, and look, don't act like that's not true for you. Come on now, y'all spy, and that's what we do. Doom scrolling, just seeing how everybody's life is. People, we can message people. You can comment on their photos. Now we have FaceTime, and we have tons of ways that we can stay in touch. And even with the proliferation of all of the tools to make it as easy as possible, we still don't do it as well as we could. And I'm speaking mostly to me. I'm actually the worst person probably to host this or to talk through this issue, but that's kind of why I think I need to. Because it's an issue that I need to resolve. And it's an issue that I think, is gonna get harder in the coming months. Here we're coming into the holiday season. It's the holiday season right now for those of you who are watching and you're thinking like, why is this relevant? It's because you're about to see a bunch of the people that you probably haven't kept in touch with as well as you wanted to, because proximity matters, and without proximity is hard, and you've spied on them through Facebook, and you might even be catching up now or putting on your to-do list knowing that you need to catch up because you haven't, and you're about to see them face-to-face over Christmas, and they're going to be super upset if you haven't seen the most recent family photos, and if you don't know about that promotion they just got or whatever it is, right? They're going to be so upset if you don't check it out. But you're kind of panicking because I got to fix this deeper issue. And that's where I'm at. I would love to be the guy who's super good at keeping in touch. Maybe we all have one person like that in our family or so. You know, for me, my mom was that person, and I shared this in a prior episode, that my mom was the person who kept my family, was like the glue for a while. After my Nana passed away, which was her mom, who was the glue, she became that person and worked with her aunts and her brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, and the whole family to get everybody together. And I'm just terrible. I'm not that way. And I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, but I don't want this to be the end road. So what I want to do is talk about what are some principles, simple things that we can do, maybe tips, tricks that you've found. And if both of you are completely useless on the subject, that's okay. You look great on camera, but I have an ace in the pocket.
Okay.
And it's the Bible. Okay.
Bible, okay.
So we're gonna see how your stuff sounds, and if it's not that great, I'm just gonna pull the Bible card out.
Okay,
and be like,
that's fine.
Bible.
Just
here we
Jesus
go.
juke all over the place.
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's fine.
Totally. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let you know that's happening up front, so you feel a
So
nice
is it-
amount of
I mean,
pressure.
Well, no, it's fine. Yeah, the Bible is the source of truth that we hold to. As this is a Christian, we're a church.
No, what do you?
I'm just being. It's fine.
What?
So what do you do to stay in touch with people?
I mean, I'm awful at it like you, right? Like my mom is the one that keeps at least even the family together. Like
You called me awful? I didn't give you permission. I'm sorry. Proceed. Okay.
I'm really bad at it, right? Including with Logan, apparently.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sorry. I love
That's
you.
fine. I love you too.
I just did this too.
I know, it's okay.
But I think the biggest thing for me is like, honestly, with my family at least, I've had to put reminders in calendars to reach out to them, right? Like with my grandparents, stuff like that. Because I mean, they're getting up in age, and so like having those reminders to like, hey, reach out to them when it gets to the holiday season or when it gets closer to their birthday, stuff like that. Like putting stuff in my calendar has been a game changer. I still am bad at it, but with at least family, it's been time and calendar and putting that in there.
That is good and practical.
Yeah.
Man, calendars and we just have this hit or miss relationship. I feel like I know the calendar's there. I just, for some reason, it's like a mental block. So,
dude, I put it in once, and then I put it on like I put it reoccurring each year.
I wish I had my calendar right here. Alexa, are you in here still? Alexa's producing this episode. Alexa, can you bring me my phone? It's right by my bag, which is on the floor near the booth. This is super important. I'm going to go here. I'm going somewhere with this. But I do need to look at my calendar real quick because I just realized I don't have your birthday in my calendar.
It's Star Wars
May
Day.
4th.
May the 4th be with you?
Yeah,
Is
me and my
yours?
mom share the same birthday.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, so why did I interrupt this? Because if I don't do it right now, I'm never going to remember.
No, I'm the same type of way. Like proximity matters a ton for me, but I think it's like we have those things where like you can put in the calendar, but I always get this sense of like it almost feels like there's this guilt associated with it where like having the schedule out when I'm gonna reach out to people almost feels like disingenuous. Like it's like I'm not making fun of you. I'm being honest. For me, like it's like, oh, I gotta check in with this person, and I'm just checking a box. And like it goes deeper though than that. Of like there's like for me, like he just said he wants to be praying for you, and how that always doesn't happen. And like there's this fakeness where it's like people ask me to pray for them or things like that, and if they're not in close proximity, it's like, well, if I just think about them, God knows what they need. And it's not actually me taking the time to sit before God and say, hey, this person's going through this, or this person's dealing with this, or like, because that takes effort, right?
Sure.
And like it's more of like, if I just think about this person, God knows. And like I think that I do myself a disservice of like not staying connected with people because I don't approach it as a genuine way where we could actually grow together unless you're right in front of me. And that's something that I always still like feel super guilty about with a lot of people. I mean, even like for an example, like Pastor Woodard, like Brandon.
Yeah.
Like me and Brandon, I mean, when he was here in La Plata, like we were so close. Our wives were close. They connected and things like that. And like I was talking to Elizabeth last night, and like Leah hasn't even met Waylon yet. And like these are people that were so close to me when they were here, and they're only an hour away. And he's here like twice a week sometimes. And it's still like that distance is like just different. I don't know. So I definitely we are the worst host for this topic because we all are just terrible at this.
Well, at least we have our feet like
Yeah.
firmly planted in the problem.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
we know that there are solutions. It's
Yeah.
a matter of applying them.
Yeah.
So
Did you
here's
put it
me
in there?
applying it, even though you don't like it. No, I'm just saying. This is here, camera. This is Kevin's birthday, 1998, right? You're a child, by the way.
No,
I'm 22 years old.
98?
98?
98. I'm 22 years old.
Wow.
I was
I
born on
was-
my mom's 30th birthday.
Oh wow, I was in 7th grade. That's cool. All right,
That's
good
cool.
talk. Anyway,
Okay,
that's
buddy.
me trying to make sure I don't forget your birthday. But one principle that I was thinking about, I'm going to share with you from God's Word. But first, I wonder what Pastor Mike thinks. Like, you ever wonder, like we're here at New Life Church. Let's talk. Pastor Mike's always our host. He always shares some wisdom, and I'm feeling like we're not qualified to have this wisdom, so I'm just gonna give him a call real quick and just see what he thinks
Okay.
about like what to do. He might not pick up.
Favorites,
Yeah.
legitimately.
No. Hey, Pastor Mike. Hey, listen, I'm filming Let's Talk right now on set, and I just had a quick question for you. We're talking about what happens when people leave, okay? And we're looking for wisdom to give our viewers on what can you do to stay in touch? How can you make your heart connect with them still after they've left? And I was just wondering if you had any wisdom to share.
Dinner with somebody, or you don't have to stay in touch with them constantly, like every week, though you can. But once that relationship is established, what you do is you just, every time you're around them, every time you're around that area, you drop in, and honestly, it's always like you never let off.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we
So,
make a point to drop by and see people in areas. In fact, we're going to do that over Christmas. We're going to run down to South Carolina and see some folks that attended the church 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
man.
So,
Well, hey, thank you so much for that wisdom. We just felt like this episode wasn't complete without you. We love you.
I love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So this is why he's our pastor, because I was about to
Just
open
little
God's
nuggets,
word.
just little
He had no
nuggets.
idea I was going to call him and ask
Yeah.
this. That's a promise on Jesus' name.
Okay.
Okay.
Strong.
And that's the strongest came to mind. It's like the first thing that came to mind.
No, I'm glad that you got
But-
our leader's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
I
that's
was
good.
going to open up God's word and show you that this is exactly what the Apostle Paul did.
Yeah.
Like in Scripture,
Wow.
our pastor
Yeah.
just gave us that wisdom.
It's like he
and
read the Bible.
I think he has to have read the Bible.
Yeah.
He has to have read the
Yeah.
New Testament.
Studied
Surely
it.
he has.
Yeah.
But like he says, Paul's plan to visit Rome. This is Romans chapter 15, verse 22. And as far as we know, he never made it to this
Rome.
church,
Yeah.
which is crazy, right? But he has this intent to go and visit them. And he says, this is the reason why I have so often been hindered from coming to you. I guess you'll have to read all the verses before that to know what
Yeah.
that means. But then he says, but now since I no longer have any room, that's the
Yeah.
proper way of saying that word, for work, and it bothers Kevin, for work in these regions. And since I've longed for many years to come to you, I hope to see you in passing as I go to Spain and to be helped on my journey there by you once I've enjoyed your company for a while. And then he talks about where he's going. He has this connection with these folks, even though he doesn't have proximity with them. And this is before Facebook. Paul is Facebook right here. Like he's writing letters. He's connecting other people with each other. He's connecting the whole network of the body of believers across the world through letters. Just get your head around that for a minute. The known world, this guy's writing letters and staying connected with them. And these folks he hasn't even met. There's another verse that's similar. If you go to Colossians, right as he opens the letter, he's talking about how much he cares about these folks. And, he says, from the first day we heard, we have not ceased to pray for you, asking that you may be filled with the knowledge of his will. And he goes on just to say all these things that he prays for them and he wants for them. This is a church that he had been with before, that he had met with, and that he knew. These were his friends. These are people that he had worked with. Same thing with the church in Ephesus. He spent years in Ephesus as a tent maker, working in the city, getting to know people, sharing the gospel on the street. It was like, I can relate to that being in the place I was for all those years, 7 years there. You build relationships and you get your roots down deep. But the difference is that the Apostle Paul kept those roots going. He was able to send letters. And we're unlikely to write letters, but man, we could make a phone call. Paul certainly would have done FaceTime. He would have done Facebook. He would have used all of the means available to connect. Just so happened letters was the only way, right? So what can we take away from that? Well, one thing you see in all of these is that he always leads with prayer. He makes it a point to visit, like our pastor just talked about, like we can visit people, but he always kept them in his heart through prayer. And like he even says, as often as I remember you, I'm praying for you. And it ties in with what you were saying, like, you know, as often as I'm thinking about these people, you know, like I want to pray for them. And I think that's kind of the big takeaway. Like, that's so true. Think about what prayer does. If you've ever really prayed for somebody, think about how your heart suddenly connects as you're bringing it before the Lord. Like you think about all the memories you have of them. You think about the good times, you think about the bad times. You think about what they need the most, you think about what they want. All of these things just rush through your mind and your heart and your brain and your spirit all at once. And if you're keeping a constant list of people that you're praying for on a revolving basis, it really does help. You remember those relationships and those ties that you had, and it forces you to stay connected so you can keep the prayer list updated. And on top of that, if you are continually praying for them, God's going to be working in their life, and they're going to want to connect with you and tell you about God's work, and you're going to be able to say, holy moly, that's amazing that happened. I've been praying for you.
Yeah.
So why
I'm
is
laughing
this,
that you said holy moly.
Holy moly.
Just
It came out so fast.
I loved it.
But so I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm really this is happening right now, this whole episode.
Yeah.
Because Logan and I particularly,
wow,
and the whole staff,
yeah,
and indeed the whole network that New Life is a part of, is trying to prepare for this in real time, because we're having somebody leave.
Yeah. Someone that's close.
Someone very, very close. Somebody that we love. Somebody that's been integral in the center of all of what Let's Talk is and what's been happening
really
on this
all
show.
Of the online content, especially in the year 2020.
If it's part of a video, then it's had this person as part of it. It's Kevin.
Don't like that.
Guys.
Would you rather than me?
No.
Okay. All right. I was just asking. So
Kevin is moving on. Kevin is moving on to a new opportunity in Florida, and we can't tell you where because witness protection says we can't tell you.
What?
I'm just kidding. No, but Kevin has had an awesome opportunity come up where he's going to be videographer. He's going to be able to do stuff. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and then we'll jump back in if you can. Are you allowed to?
Yeah, it's fine.
Go ahead, tell us a little
So I got a job in Florida. It's gonna actually be Central Florida. You can kind of tell the area. I'm not gonna go into details like on the address and everything, but
it's okay. We'll put it in the show notes. We're gonna have show notes.
I'll be working for a real estate company, and I'll be doing videography and then working on getting my real estate license to become a realtor.
Heck yeah, you are. That's awesome.
So when I first met Kevin, you were in 11th grade?
I was going into my senior year.
Yeah. So he started coming to the youth group, and really it's cool how God works. And now I'm just getting to this now in my heart, because I've been very sad. I've been not angry at Kevin, but just like angry at circumstances, because it's not in my control, because I would want you here forever, because we are just, all of us have got, especially this year, have gotten so close, so reliant on one another, trying to keep the church moving forward and producing all this content. And I've learned so much about cameras and all this stuff functioning in this role now, and getting to work closer to you. I think this year probably than all the ones before. I don't know, we've always kind of worked pretty close together. But the crazy thing is that when we first met and you were talking about what you wanted to do, real estate was always on your mind. Like that was always a goal. And it's just kind of cool because, as our relationship progressed, you were thinking ministry, and you started working here, and you've done so many different roles, starting out in more of like a pastoral vein, and then you kind of really just rose to the occasion of like building maintenance, and like now all the tech stuff and producing and mixing live sound and all of these skills that I don't think you ever thought you would ever learn before, and things like that. And so like this season, looking back, I feel like even though at the beginning you were like, well, maybe God's calling me to do something else, right? it was just for this season, and you'll be able to look back on this season of your life and be like, man, I learned so many of the skills that is setting me up for what I felt like God always had laid on my heart. And like, that's such a beautiful picture. And so even though I'm sad and I'm probably going to cry later today just because we're filming this, and it's not like he's leaving tomorrow, but it feels like that. So I'm getting emotional now, but it's just been cool to see, like, it's been cool to see you grow up. It's been cool to see you grow into not only just the man of God that you are today. I can't even look at you when I'm saying this, but also to see you just like when we make fun of Kevin all the time. If you ever watch the breakdown, things like that, we love to joke with him, but like he started working here when he was in high school, and he knew none of this stuff. And he's gotten to a place in the last couple years where he's so excellent at it. Like, this company said, these are the skills you have. You don't have a real estate license right now. We're going to hire you just to do this video stuff until you get your license. Like, that speaks to not only how hard you work, but your character and what God has been doing in your life these last years working here and working with us. So like, I'm so stoked for you in this next season. I'm not going to make promises that we're going to be as close as we are now, because we've already admitted that we're terrible at that. But
you need to put my birthday in your calendar.
Well, I know your birthday by heart, because I just love that it's May the 4th. And I think when we first met, you had barely seen any of the Star Wars movies.
I still have barely seen
it. So like, that hilarious, right?
Does this make this leaving part easier for you now?
No.
I was about to compliment you on how like versatile you are and how you have like limitless knowledge, but now I'm gonna have to take a part of that compliment back. Like, you don't know the way of the Force, so we'll talk. But at any rate, no, I'm serious. Like, everything Logan just said is so true. And those of you who know Kevin and who have been a part of the church for any amount of time, you've seen Kevin pretty much in every environment in the church. That's because
and at every campus
because he is the most, he's like, he makes Leatherman look like a one-purpose tool. Like, he can do anything and just about everything that we've thrown his way over the years. There's been no challenge that he said no to. He's at every challenge that he's taken on, he's succeeded at, and if he didn't, he worked his darndest to get it to at least what we call Getmo, which is good enough to move on. And if you know, in the office environment and in the staff culture and all the stuff that happens behind the scenes, Kevin is one of the heartbeats behind this place. And Pastor Mike has a saying that he's always Team Kevin. And that's because he's earned that right. And we love you, man. And you've made this show and everything that we've done awesome and special here. And we're gonna miss you.
I do want to say one thing. We had talked when I first got to like the youth group, and I had always been wanting to do real estate and stuff like that. But I will say, working at New Life and working with you guys and working with the rest of the team, like, there's no way in my mind I could see this opportunity, panning out if it wasn't for the opportunities that I've been given, the people that I've worked with, and just honestly the leadership at New Life. For everyone watching, I just want you guys to know that you have the best church, because they care so much about you guys and making sure that everyone's taken care of and that they're putting out the best product regardless. And working with this team has been a serious pleasure. So,
amen. Well, everybody, that's a good segue into wrapping up. And we're not just wrapping up today's episode, we're actually wrapping up for 2020. This is the final episode of Let's Talk for this year, and we're trying to figure out, with Kev moving on, we got to take all the best ideas that we had in our planning sessions through the year of what we wanted to do in 2021 and try to do him justice and make it as good as possible if he were still here, because we know we've got at least one viewer besides all of you that's going to be watching every week expecting a lot. So we're going to make sure to up the game, and we're going to bring you some great content. We'll give you some teasers as the year comes to a close and as we start out in 2021. But we want to thank you so much for all of your subscribing, your commenting, your liking, your sharing. You guys have made this possible. It's been really fun. We've learned so much. We have a lot yet to learn. And we also just love God and love you. That's what we're all about, loving God and loving people. And we want him to be glorified. We want you to know him. We want him to be famous on the earth. This is just one way we get to do that. So help us make it possible. Write in, make sure to comment, send us emails if you'd like, Dave@newlife.live. Logan at NEWLIFE.live.
Yep.
We'll take your emails and your questions and suggestions very seriously,
Yeah.
and we just so appreciate it.
Yeah.
So once again, thanks for a great year, and we're just loving you and praying for you wherever you're at. God bless you.